Hi guys, I'm back again making another video. This video is about trauma, emotional wounds, and our false identity. And just a disclaimer, I am not a professional. I went to school of hard knocks for this shit. This is just solely based off of experience. At some point in your life, like particularly your childhood, where we rely solely on another person to take care of us in order to survive, you've probably experienced some trauma. Trauma is an event inflicted on us by somebody or something that we had absolutely no control over. Trauma can be very painful and very distressing. Even though the trauma was completely out of control, we still tend to blame ourselves and for like the periods of time leading up to that event, and you just need to forgive yourself for the things that you know now that you didn't know then. Some types of violence are domestic violence, community violence like shootings, assault, burglary, sexual violence, natural disasters, serious accidents. Trauma highly impacts the survivor. It leaves a psychological mark called an emotional wound. The wound is deeply distressing and painful, and it can take a lifetime to recover from. Emotional wounds affects our identity, our behaviors, our trust, the way we view ourselves, the way we view the world, our beliefs, and how we interact with others. Wounds hinder the development of our authentic selves. It steals away our inner child, our innocence, our awe of life, our freedom, our playfulness, our creativity. And when our inner child is damaged, we tend to question ourselves or abandon ourselves completely. Even though you had no control over the trauma or the emotional wounds that it left, or the fact that it stole away your power, now is your time to reclaim it. You are no longer a victim, you are a survivor. You survived what many have not, and that is what makes you powerful. You are completely in control of your own recovery and the recreation of your life. It is your God-given right to discover your authentic self and to reclaim your power. Types of emotional wounds are abandonment. This is where your mother or your father cannot adequately care for you and they leave you completely, or they neglect you. They just don't serve as a protector over your fears. People who experience abandonment are very codependent. They're afraid to be alone. They need a lot of attention. They feel insecure. They don't have a sense of self-worth. If rejected, they're likely to sabotage or abandon themselves completely. Another type of emotional wound is domestic violence. This can be verbal, psychological, physical, emotional, financial. It has to do with if one person threatens another person in order to intimidate, humiliate them, harm them. Also blaming, manipulating, and people who have experienced domestic violence and are unhealed from it become abusive themselves. These victims of domestic violence often partake in risky behavior. They become addicts, they have eating disorders, they run away, they leave home, and this increases their vulnerability and exposure to sexual violence and exploitation. Justice, when one's rights are taken away due to somebody's race, gender, sexual orientation, are treated unfairly or neglected. People often feel shameful of who they are and will not ask you for help because they already feel like the world is against them. Betrayal, where you put your trust into somebody and they break it, whether they lie, they steal, or they cheat. And this really gives you an outlook on life that people are not reliable, that you can't trust other people, and to think other people's intentions are wrong, that they're out to get you or hurt you. Humiliation and shame, like bullying, it can cause you to become very depressed. It can give you low self-esteem. Cause of trauma and emotional wounds, our body reacts out of instinct in order to cope without these events killing us. We develop behaviors, habits, and patterns that come together to knit a mask of our false identity. Behaviors and habits used to cope with trauma are addiction, codependency, blaming others for your own behavior, avoiding conflict, eating disorders, passive aggressive, defensive, overly dramatic, negative body language, insecure, takes anger out on others, oversleeping, not sleeping enough, reckless behavior, promiscuity, impulsiveness, putting others before themselves, unhealthy relationships, doesn't trust own judgment, isolation, avoiding public places, repressing emotion, feeling uncomfortable around new people, skin picking, fearing abandonment, self-sabotage, and dissociation. The problem with this mask is that it does not protect us, it only hinders us, leaving us entrapped in heartache and believing society's judgment and lies. We become powerless, we lose control, and we suffer from insanity. The fact that this is just who you've become in order to cope with these events that have so heavily impacted you, your identity, and your life, it's very hurtful, but know that the way that you're coping is only more harmful and it's harmful to others.